Yo, 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 welcome to Pitch Report. I'm Mario.
And I'm Amilcar.
And we have good news. We're on to the next round of the MLS Cup. How are you doing today, Amilcar?
I'm good. I thought you were going to talk about the good news being that I finally have like relatively working Wi-Fi and back feels like I'm in the 21st century again, uploading more than like 10 megabits per second. So shout out Cox in San Diego for for hooking me up with working internet.
Yes, it was a long time where we couldn't do video. We even had to record on FaceTime so that we could see each other's faces because Amilcar's internet was unreliable. But you know who is reliable, Amilcar?
I'm going to guess you're going to say Andres Dreyer.
Yes, indeed. Anders Dreyer. He's reliable. He can assist you when you need one, or he can score a goal. He can do it all. Good win this weekend to get our first series win in the MLS Cup playoff.
Yeah, man, it had been some time since we had done the SDFC firsts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to see the final win. I will say, I went to the game. I think after the penalty, I think we talked about it a little bit last time. I was a little bit like frustrated / like bummed out, and I was like, okay, I don't really want to go to the game. Like, kind of annoyed. It's like if they win, it's like great, but if they lose, I'll be really mad. So, but went to the game, and I think I was telling you before, like the atmosphere was like absolutely electric. It was way more intensity and way more like fandom this time around than there was last week. And I guess it makes sense, like winner take all basically at this point. But like my thought process going into it was like, look, if Portland scores first, or if we get behind, it's going to be rough. Because I think it's all like the mentality of how the game ended last time on that low. So I was like, we have to get up pretty quickly, and thankfully we got up on the score sheet really quickly, and it was like one after another, and then a long break, and then another couple goals. But yeah, super excited, really pumped up. Like I said, the atmosphere was crazy, and it really made me realize, like, man, like sports in San Diego has changed so much, just from the Padres and SDFC, and just makes me wish, like, if the Chargers only waited like another 10 years. I know it sounds crazy to say, but like we could have sold out Qualcomm.
Hey, but then we wouldn't have a Snapdragon.
This is very true, and we would have to play in an 80,000 seat facility. But yeah, no, it's it really made me excited for like San Diego sports, honestly.
Yeah, it also, like, going in and feeling like you have a good chance at winning, like San Diego sports, that's not necessarily like an underdog going into it. So you mentioned a lot of really cool things. I want to ask, I did not go to the game, so I want to ask for the ambiance. Did it feel any more packed than the game before? Or like were people, like, you said they were like more excited? Were they more loud as well? Or anything else that was different from game one?
Yeah, I mean, they were both sellouts, so I think in terms of the amount of people there, it was supposed to be the same, but it just felt like there was more people this time around. I think like there was more excitement in the air. I think once the kickoff, like immediately from the beginning of the kickoff, everyone was hyped up, like cheering. Anytime they go to the corner, they usually like try to hype the crowd up, but it was like the whole stadium was getting up.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it just felt different. It just felt more more intensity. Because I think everyone realized, like, this is what we have to win this game to go forward. And the first one, I feel like there was more of a sense of like excitement, like kind of like we're happy to be here. Like, this is kind of crazy. This is a cool, exciting, situation. But the last game was more intensity and more like sports excitement of like what was on the field and how it was going to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I also want to credit, one, the fans for showing up, and two, like San Diego FC for staying in it, because it feels like we've been playing Portland forever. It's been like Groundhog Day. We've like played them 4 times in a row. We've played them 5 times in competitive matches. That by far makes it like the most we've played any team, given it's our first year.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're in California, so there's a lot of potential for rivalry with like the LA teams, even like in San Jose. But this could maybe be another like rivalry that develops as like the history of this franchise continues to really like create itself. And I feel like Portland is a team that has a really passionate fan base. They're traditionally a pretty competitive team. They're an exciting team to watch. So I would not mind having a rivalry with Portland and keeping it going the way it's been so far for San Diego FC.
Yeah, and I think that was a big takeaway I had from the match was like it was chippy from the beginning. Like obviously, like you said, they've seen each other. This is the fourth time in probably like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe even
Yeah.
4 weeks. So every week they're playing each other, and at this point, like they know each other really well, you know. So it's not only just things that happen this game, but it's things that bubble up from last game. And so there was a red card. What was it like 2 games ago? Red card
Yeah.
this game. So it definitely was going to get chippy, and I think it would have been even more physical and more chippy had it been a closer match where it like kind of like they were scrambling for that one goal. So I was not comfortable until we had a 2 goal lead. I think the 1 goal lead, because we learned from the last match that 1 goal is not enough because penalties we can't be trusted. At least, you know, there's a small sample size, but in my opinion,
Yeah.
from what I know, we can't be trusted with penalties. So once we got up 2-0, I was like, okay, comfortable. Then it was 3. I was like, all right, cool. We live. Let's party.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, especially the third goal too. That was the Pellegrino's second goal for his brace, and it was basically they centered it, a volley. He made really good contact, just blasted it in. It kind of felt like it was basically airports that way. This game's over. We're moving on, and then of course, and there's no, that was that the 4-0? Yeah, that was a 4-0 actually. So at that point, the game just felt like it was put away, like you
Yeah, the three
mentioned.
zero was the Chucky center to Dryer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chucky Center Dryer. Yeah, which that's actually a good segue. I was excited at first, once the game seemed to be like 2-0 and like the momentum of the game seemed to be just staying with San Diego. I was like, oh, are they not going to bring Chucky in? Like, I was like, it just felt like kind of like he'd been grounded too long, basically. I know we saw him last game, but so I was glad that when he did come in, he did contribute to a goal and was like still like a part of the storyline, I guess, in the game.
Yes. But so based off his performances, because every time he comes off, he either scores a goal, assist, like he's been like playing really well. Do you think that this is like now turned into like a tactical thing that Mikey Varas is bringing him off and like usually like 65th, 68th minute he comes in and has a big impact when, you know, legs are tired on the other team? Or do you think it's like you said, like you mentioned, it's more of the he's still kind of grounded, still kind of working him back into the rotation?
I think it's a tactical thing. I feel like in the playoffs, the whole season, you need to have a deep squad, and having someone like Lozano come in right now, I- it's an amazing piece to have off the bench. We're gonna need something like that if we end
Seven
up
and a half
playing.
million dollars a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, the top earner on the team. So I think it's a tactical piece. You're not seeing Luca de la Torre play that much either, and he was someone that was playing the Gold Cup with the U.S. national team. So right now, I don't know if Mikey Varas can do any wrong. I think whatever he thinks is the way to go, then he
Except for
he's got.
selecting penalty takers.
Yeah, well, yeah. Except for that, okay. So you've disproven what I was just saying. But for the most part, he has a pretty good grasp on things. So, and I will say I got the order of the goals confused. Pellegrino's goal was the third goal, but not to brag, but I was looking at the scoreline from the other 4-0 game against Portland Timbers, where it was also 2 goals from Dryer and 2 goals from Pellegrino. So the Groundhog Day similarities continue.
Yeah. I will say, just going back to your point about the tactical changes, one thing that I find kind of interesting, I want to get your take on it, is like ever since I've been reading about like Luca Della Torre being like kind of seems like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, is he going to stay with SDFC? Is he going to go to Celta? Like, what is he going to do? I feel like ever since those kind of rumors or those things have been going around, he hasn't been playing as much. Um, do how much do you think a coach is like, all right, we're not going to have this guy next year probably. Like, we have a lot of, you know, decent talent that's here. Like, how much do you think like we got to adapt with what we have, knowing that he may or may not be here next year? Or do you think it's like this year's all that matters type thing?
I think right now all that matters is this year you have a
Okay.
really good chance at winning the title. But what you're saying, I'm starting to see a pattern where we had something similar with Milanowski, who went to Philadelphia when he wasn't necessarily going to potentially want to stay if he didn't get the money he was looking for, and then he got benched. So I'm starting to see Mikey Varas having maybe like a strong character where, hey, no, this is team first, and like if you want to be here, like you're gonna show you want to be here, and if you don't, that's fine. We'll get by without you. And so far, he's been able to dictate that. And usually, you need to get the results to be able to do that. Because a lot of times, you want to punish a player, and it feels to the fans or the rest of the team like you're punishing them because you're not playing like the piece that could potentially be the difference maker. And then in this case, it seems like whatever he's able to do in any like changes in the lineup, uh, he's able to get it like the result he wants for the most part. I think it helps when you have an Anders Dreyer to just really own like the a bulk of the goal scoring like responsibility. So I think it might be a Mikey Vara's personality thing. What about you?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you on the personality thing. Especially the fact that the Chucky kind of like grounding or whatever you want to call it has lasted this long, because I feel like usually with most coaches, especially someone that's new that's still trying to kind of like feel out the team, what you just don't start them the next match and then they play. That's like probably like the biggest punishment you're gonna have for players. But he just like took it to the end and back. Like he's like, no, you're gonna know. Like, and it's like it's a punishment for you, and then everyone else like don't ever like kind of challenge the team or whatever. So kind of interesting. But like you said, if they would have been knocked out in 2 games, that would have just come back to blow him up in his face, right? Because it's like, well, you didn't play our best player, our most expensive player, and now we lost, right? So the fact that we were able to continue winning, which I think also is kind of like, it seems like it kind of goes in a circle, right? It's like you can win because you have a team, but then because you have a team, you can punish one player to focus on the team, right? So if he didn't have that team first mentality, I don't think he would have been able to continue winning. And I think we've seen it from the beginning. I would love to at some point do like a comparison from like the starting lineup from the first day to the starting lineup, maybe the last series we played, and just see how different the team is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's changed a lot. Like we had, I'm even blanking on his name right now. Who I haven't seen him play for a long time, but he was from Notts Forest. But yeah, the lineup we had either by injury or by other like moves has changed dramatically. And that might be one of the benefits you get as a first time team where you didn't have anyone in that position the year before. It's everything that's just happened in this particular moment. Like no one was doing, everyone was somewhere else for the most part. Or they were, yeah, no one was any, it's the first year of the team. So I think that might be one of the benefits. And that'll be like a quote unquote challenge or something we explore next season when like we're going for season number 2 and on our second basically like trip around the block in like MLS per se.
Yeah, and I think that'll be something that's interesting with Anders Dreyer. It's like, how does he play on the second year of his contract, second year in the MLS? You know, is it like, does he have a sophomore slump like a lot of
Yeah.
folks have in the NFL and things like that? And also, like, I would be really curious to see when Dreyer and Chucky are playing together the entire match, like how that dynamic looks like. Right now, it looks fine, right? Because they share the field for a little bit. But I think something that we see a lot with Chucky is like he's a passer. I'm not gonna say he's not a passer, but I think
Yeah.
when he has the ball, he's like, all right, get out of my way, like I'm going. It's like me against the, I'm gonna take on the defenders and go. Whereas Dreyer seems like he's kind of the opposite. He's just like a pass first guy, and he just ends up kind of being in the right place, right time on the runs. And he ends up, that's why I think he had the 19 assists and the 19 goals this season. One thing that I did notice, like that I think is like pretty exciting, and I think the reason why we've been able to capitalize a lot, maybe not just with Portland, but with just other teams. I think every time we recover the ball, because we press so intensely, the second we recover it, I would realize like they're always looking up to see like who's up
Yeah.
there, like how can we just like kick the ball up. And in reality, if we had like clinical finishers or like a striker that was just like clinical that could just finish every single ball, it would be 6, 7, 8-0. Like there was so many opportunities where it's like a bad first touch, up they got on the defender's side,
Yeah.
or like there was one where like Pellegrino was running down, he had the defender on his right side, and if he would have hit the ball left, anywhere left, it was like there was no one there, but he just tapped it, hit it to the right, and the defender got it. So things like that I'm like, dude, if we had someone that could just finish like consistently, like a big, not even a big name, but just someone that can finish, these score lines would be so different.
Yeah, I actually feel like we do have pretty good finishers, like better than average. Like when I see Dreyer, and I agree with that, they're pretty good at looking up the field and making the pass, which makes us pretty good on the counter. A lot of times, I think where Dreyer gets the ball, I'm expecting him to make it most of the time or create something. And Pellegrino, who kind of came in a little bit later in the season, I feel like he's been able to do that. Maybe like earlier on in the season, we didn't see it as much. But yeah, we'll see how we do against like Minnesota in the next round. But I kind of feel like for the most part they've been decent finishers. No Messi, I guess, but the next best thing, like literally in terms of the MVP voting.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the only time I'm ever confident with someone finishing is with basically Chucky and Dryer. Everyone else, I'm like, we'll see, man. There's so
Yeah,
many opportunities that they're missing, and obviously, if you have 10 opportunities, you make one. That's amazing, right? Like, no one. It's not like basketball where you're like, oh, you went 1 for 10. That was a terrible shooting night. No one
yeah,
checks that stuff. In soccer, it's like you got a goal, great. No one cares if you shot 10 times open on goal or if you went 1 for 1, right? And I think that's where like when you get into those stats and start thinking about that stuff is when you start seeing, in my opinion, that it's just like if it's not Dryer or Chucky, it's I at least I don't have a ton of confidence
oh,
in like a tough finish or like that it's gonna go in, like a goal that should go in, right?
I agree. When I was saying about the finishes, I meant we had one. I was just thinking Dryer, honestly, and then Chucky. Yeah, like you said, sometimes he says, "I'm gonna shoot this ball no matter what," and whether it's a good shot or not, who knows? So yeah, I was just referring to Dryer.
Yeah.
Uh,
But we do create so many opportunities that I guess you do have the luxury, quote unquote, to miss a couple of shots because you're gonna have some. But if there's in a situation where we don't have that many opportunities and we have maybe one opportunity and to score, we have to score that one opportunity to win a 1-0, that's where I struggle to think like, do we have that if it's not Dryer, if it's not Chucky, to put that one goal for that one opportunity that we have.
yeah, I agree. I think if we get to like those like more defensive matches, even like decent at defending, but it could be a little bit tough if they shut down our offense per se. Which I think is a good segue into one who we're gonna be playing, but also we could check in on our MLS brackets that
Oh
we
yeah.
we each made. One of us is doing better than the other. We can go
I
ahead and
wonder
start.
who.
It's actually not me. So yeah, we're looking at a Milcar's bracket right now. I am very impressed. He basically got every matchup correct except for Charlotte and New York City.
Yeah, man, I was really bummed out about Charlotte too because I will say out of all the picks, and they weren't really an underdog, but like that was one that I was super confident about because they'd been playing so well in the second half, and that's like probably who I highlighted, um, in when we talked about it a couple of podcasts ago. But the sad part is I have them going to the final, so it just completely
Oh,
wrecked my
really?
bracket. Yeah,
Oh, I
exactly.
did not see that. Okay. Oh, so
So yeah, totally destroyed my bracket. But other than that, I got everyone else right. I didn't pick really a ton of upsets. I think Cincinnati maybe was the only one that was an upset there. But other than that, yeah, I kind of picked who I thought was going to win. But sadly, maybe I'm beating you right now, but I'm sure it won't last. Seeing as I'm sure my projected points aren't great.
well, you did so well in this round. I think if my math's correct, you're at like 210 points. So that's actually not bad at all. I didn't know it was Charlotte that you had all the way in the final. Uh, but yeah, you're doing better than I am. I got three of them wrong actually. So I did get LAFC and Vancouver playing each other in the next round, but I had us playing Seattle instead of Minnesota, and that one came down to the wire. It was a penalty shootout that I think went 10 different shooters on each team, so that could have gone like either way. Uh, I also had Charlotte going on in their matchup. For me, they really made an impression on me earlier on in the season when we lost to them. I think it was like 3-0. That was one of the first games where I felt like we really got whooped. So maybe that was a little that made too strong of an impression on me because I had them going through basically because of that. I even have them
Yeah, you have
in
them
the
going to the
semifinal.
semis, so I think
Yeah,
actually my bracket's safe now.
yeah,
Yeah, essentially.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I guess we both really have some respect for Charlotte. So I think that puts me at 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. So I'm 60 points behind you at the moment. We'll have to check back in on it and see how we do going forward. Something that did surprise me though is that Miami had to go 3 games to get on to the next round.
Especially after the first game. The first game they scored like 2 goals in like 10 minutes, and then that third game again they scored 2 goals in like 5 or 6 minutes. It.
Yeah,
So I was surprised that away game was as difficult as it was. But hey, maybe they're vulnerable. You
yeah,
know.
exactly. I'm still fingers crossed hoping we play them in the final. Uh, Something for Minnesota, who we will be playing, that I noticed is that team's got some grit. They were down 2-0 early in the, like, this is on the tie-breaking game. They were down 2-0 very early in the game, and then they were able to tie it up 2-1, and then they got a red card. So they were playing with 10 players for about 35 minutes.
Wow.
Down 2-1. They tied the game 2-2, went up 3-2 in regular time, and then Seattle tied it around like the 88th minute to force the penalties. But if you can go about a goal down, a player down, and score 2 goals, like, that team's got some fight in them. And Seattle beat us when we played them in Seattle, so Minnesota will be an interesting team to face. I think in this round, it's just one game now, right?
Yeah, I think it's win or go home. So, and luckily it'll be in San Diego, so it'll be exciting. Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is on a Monday night. Oh, I hope
Yeah,
I can make
Thanksgiving
that
week.
one. Yeah. Just side note, the Minnesota Stadium, it's also called Allianz Arena or Field. It's also kind of like Bayern Munich's Allianz or Alliance Field. Lights up in the background. It looks really cool. That's like an MLS stadium I would actually really like to check out. It looks like really nice if you look up pictures of it.
I thought you were gonna have a Soccer City encore presentation
Oh,
here.
no, but I am like throwing some love out to the stadiums that I think are interesting.
Nice. Well, we won't get to see it, so
Yeah.
bummer for you.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a road trip at one point. But I think that's enough for MLS soccer, and we can go into more of the fashion world of soccer per se.
Fun stuff.
So last week, Adidas dropped the 22 World Cup kits for next year's World Cup, just the home ones. So we're gonna take a look at them. Just quick disclaimer: not all 22 of these teams have qualified for the World Cup. Most and some of them probably will not. But these are like the 22 kits that Adidas has released. No, it's no shade on anyone. Just mentioning it's the truth.
He's like cough cough.
Yeah. Cough Spain. No, I'm just kidding. So first, I gotta say, I think they did a phenomenal job marketing like the release. Like the images that went out were really cool. I'm from what I was able to see for at least like Mexico, they did a lot of very personalized marketing. I'm sure for each respective country, they probably did like an equivalent sort of deal. And I know Mexico's also a host, so maybe they got like a little bit more, but it was very well done. I don't know if I saw it through Instagram, most of like these pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a really great job, and it looks like it would be like the take place in Mexico somewhere, like the clothes hangers, like the kind of adobe buildings and stuff like that. It looks like it would be in Mexico. But question for you is whose jerseys you like better, like brand wise, like Adidas, Nike, Puma?
Oh, I love this question. I actually generally like Adidas better, but there's a few standouts that I also like. I randomly like New Balance. Like when Liverpool had like New Balance, I thought that was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Costa Rica had New Balance a few years back. Porto, I don't know if they still have New Balance. I think they do. So I kind of randomly like Porto, and I also really like Umbro, from like the English brand. So those are like my main ones. What about you?
I for me it's Adidas. I think it's always been Adidas, just because Spain and Real Madrid are
Yeah.
both Adidas, and I always think they have some really clean jerseys. I like the 3 stripes going down from the shoulders all the way down. I think it just looks super clean how they most of the time always do that. And based off the jerseys that we saw here, and even in the last World Cup, I think they did a really good job of like showing tribute to aspects of the country. And I think they did a really good job here as well. Just like the over kind of site or like my initial thoughts on here, a lot of these jerseys remind me of like the I don't know if it's 2010 or 2014 World Cups, like, or even 2008. Like they're kind of like throwback jerseys,
Yeah.
for lack of better words, which I think is super cool, kind of like vintage look.
Yeah, I agree that especially in this World Cup, I feel like they've done a very good job customizing them to the specific like country, and really pulling from like stories of the country, the history of either the football federation. Because sometimes it does feel like a brand will just have like 1 or 2 templates and just throw on whatever country logo that they're
Mhm.
sponsoring. So yeah, this
It's gonna
one's
be the
pretty.
marketing World Cup, man. Just because it's in the U.S., it's gonna be super hyped. It's like I feel like there's gonna be a lot of like viral things, a lot of cameras there. So I feel like brands are really gonna go all out to activate during the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. In that on that note, we mentioned not all 22 of the teams will make it, but even if it's 18 of them, there's 48 teams in the World Cup. Adidas has a pretty solid hold of the brand or
Yeah.
the countries that end up wearing it. So yeah, let's get started. These are in alphabetical order. So, or at least I put them in what I think is alphabetical order. So please, if I mess something up, just go easy on me. Uh, but we have Algeria, Argentina, and Belgium. What are your initial thoughts, Amilcar?
Yeah, so for our podcast people that aren't watching this and can't see the jerseys, Algeria has got a really clean, like white and green jersey. Argentina, it's very similar. I feel like they did a little bit of like kind of like an ombre with the blue stripes, which I think looks kind of neat, makes it look a little bit like futuristic, kind of. But the vertical stripes, which they've been known for, and then Belgium, I feel like has a very similar jersey to what they've had, the red with yellow stripes jersey. To me, I think that the Argentina was really kind of unique because it looks vintage, but then also looks kind of modern. So I like the take that they did there.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Argentina one is pretty cool because it's the traditional like the white and blue stripes, but in this one they put three different tones of blue in each like stripe. Uh, and I read it was kind of like a tribute to the three World Cup wins, which makes sense. They're like the defending World Cup like winners. They also have like the World Cup like little badge in the center of the jersey. So overall, it's a pretty nice design. Which I usually feel like the Argentina ones look very similar to each other, but this one kind of pops up a little bit more. Um, and I think it might be the mix with like a little bit more modern. Um, and then for Belgium, I would say when I see the Belgium jersey, usually I have to think, wait, what's that country? Because I feel like their like soccer federation emblem is not very like noticeable. Like it's hard to really see what's going on in it because of the like black with the red and the yellow. From far away, there's not a lot of like things that differentiate it. But when you look at it pretty closely, it is a pretty nice design, but it kind of looks a little bit more vintage.
Yeah, the one disclaimer I'll say with all Adidas jerseys, I hate when they put the logo in the middle.
Oh,
So
really?
that's gonna be my running thing. I really despise the logo being in the middle. It makes the rest of the jersey so bare, and they did that a lot last World Cup where they were just kind of going straight down the middle with the logo name, the logo, the crest or whatever, and then the number. And I just think the rest of the jersey looks too bare. So I'm not a fan of that at all.
For me, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it looks cool depending on what else you do with it. But yeah, it does set it up to look a little too bare sometimes. Like the Algeria one has Adidas logo, Federation logo, number, where you have a lot of other space on the jersey. So I agree with you that it can, in some cases, look a little too bare.
Yeah, so when you're
Um,
kissing the badge, where you're gonna kiss like the logo, kind of, usually like
yeah,
you reach to one side,
yeah, that's true actually. All right, we'll move on. We'll go to Chile, Costa Rica, who I mentioned earlier that used to have New Balance, and then Colombia. Chile has like a pretty like your traditional red with the pattern. I would say they have a nice distribution in the jersey of Milcar. So I would think you're happy there, where they have the Adidas logo on one side, the number slightly towards like the upper stomach area, and then the Federation logo. And Costa Rica follows like a similar pattern with like a colorful design. It's more like a maybe like a wine red. I'm realizing as I'm talking that I need to like get the little Crayola like
your color
pictures.
palette.
Yeah, color palettes. So I know different colors. I feel like I just know the primary colors right now.
Wine red, beer yellow, vodka white.
Yeah. Um yeah, Chardonnay yellowish. Yeah, and the Columbia jersey is like your traditional yellow, but also with like a Colombian design as well that you can kind of see into the fabric. So there's different like hues of the yellow with the red Adidas stripes.
Yeah, I think for me, the big takeaway with these two, and what's going to be my constant comment, is I think the little patterns, like the subtle pattern, is one of my favorite things that I've seen in all of these jerseys. The Costa Rica pattern's a little bit loud. I mean, it's still subtle in the background, but the colors like the purple ish with the wine color. But it looks like they're probably flowers or palm trees, and having been there, a month ago, I can say there's a lot of palm trees and a lot of greenery there. I really like the Columbia jersey because I think it does enough of having a pop with the design, but it's still very, very subtle. So it's like almost like a deeper gold for those like butterflies or like that print that they use, which I really love. And the red with yellow looks super nice to me.
Yeah, I agree. This Colombia jersey is beautiful. This particular yellow and particular red that they use combined looks really nice. And then I like how they change it up with like a light, almost like marine blue for the number. It just
Hmm.
has a very good distribution of color and personality. So we'll move on to the next section. We got some pretty well-known ones on Germany and Japan, and then we have Hungary, who I don't think they've been in the World Cup recently. But these are jerseys I would say are we're looking at 3 at a time, and from these 3, these are probably as different as they've come so far. Uh, if you want to go ahead, I'm going to give your first thoughts.
I mean, the Hungary one, I couldn't tell you what the jersey before this looks like, Mario. So
Yeah.
the one interesting thing I'll say here is that it seems like they have two federation logos, which I would be curious to like do some research on that, like why they have two of them and the logo in the middle. But I will say, if you see this one, the logo's in the middle, but it looks a little bit better just because there's like other stuff taking up the rest of the jersey, so it doesn't look as off-putting as when the logo and the crest and everything straight down, like the one in Japan right next to it. So that's my takeaway here. The German one looks really cool. I think it's just an interesting take on their basically vintage classic jersey, which I love, kind of the 3 stripes going from side to side. And they traditionally have one of the better jerseys just because obviously Adidas is a German brand, so they usually kind of put a little more emphasis with them. But I will say they did a lot while doing a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Germany jersey is beautiful. Very traditional. When you look at like highlights of like the dominant like German teams from like the 80s or 90s, you feel like this is a jersey that they're wearing in all those pictures or videos. The only thing that I think that would make it more like traditional is if they wore like their old logo, like the leaf, rather than like the 3 stripes logo.
Mhm.
Uh, but so I think it's a beautiful jersey, and then we kind of like look into the backstory. This is like the last jersey that Adidas will be making for Germany for this World Cup because they have a contract with Nike coming up, which is crazy. You mentioned
Wow.
Germany's sorry, Adidas is a German brand, and now they're going to an American brand in Nike. Uh, I didn't even know that was allowed, to be honest. I just thought it was like synonymous with like Germany. That would be very interesting. And part of me wonders if there will be any like if this might change. I'm sure Nike's lawyers would tell me no, it won't. But yeah, I think part of the reason maybe they went with like a traditional style from the Adidas perspective is just remember like we've been doing this together for so many years, and this is what you're saying bye to. And then on Hungary, I actually know why they have the 2 logos. So the logo
Mhm.
on like the heart side is like the Federation logo, and then the logo on the right side is the 125th anniversary of, I believe, their soccer federation. But before I read that, I was also confused. I was like, they have 2 logos, so it it's just different than like the normal template that we see for jerseys. Um, so yeah, I think it's a little interesting. It's a little bit too much to call when they're both too much symmetry almost for this jersey. Um, and then yeah, we have the Japan one with like the
That's
logo.
honestly one of my least favorite jerseys, I think. It's like the lines are a little bit too aggressive. Like last year, the way they did it was, or last World Cup was super cool. It kind of like faded in, faded out, like the geometric sides of it. But this, I think, is just a little bit too loud. I don't know.
I agree. The last Japan jersey was so cool. And usually they had really cool ones. They have like the collaboration with White 3, which is like the Japanese designer that they've had in their
Hmm.
jerseys. That is so cool. I thought they were gonna maybe bring that into the World Cup. And the lines on this jersey kind of looks like a laser show that you would imagine like out of like a DJ set or something like that, where the lights are like moving up and down. It kind of
Yeah.
looks like that's going on with the jersey. So I agree. It's for a really usually really cool jersey, it kind of let me down a little bit.
Hmm. All right, so now we got some heavy hitters here. So got the Italy jersey, Mexico, and Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland looks pretty basic. The only takeaway I can see here, like the top looks like it's two pecs and like abs
Yeah.
almost. It looks like body armor. Like that's like what you're wearing, kind of. If you look at it for Northern Ireland, once again, the vertical little Adidas thing in the middle, not my cup of tea. Italy looks very vintage, looks throwback. It's giving like 2006 World Cup. And then Mexico. I think the Mexico one. The Mexico jersey last World Cup was one of my favorites because they did a very similar thing, like with like the Aztec symbolism. And this is one of the few patterns that I like that's like loud. And it's not loud as in like crazy colors, but it's just like dark enough so you can see it. It doesn't really fade into the background. But I think the Mexican jersey is always one of my favorites when they can veer away from just the basic green. I will say though, the disclaimer was that I don't think they played in that really cool jersey at all last year
They did
or last
not.
World Cup, right? And I think people were like frustrated about that.
Yeah, they would have had to make it to the knockout stage for them to have played. So nope.
So hopefully, whether either they play in the group stage with it or they make the knockout, because I would love to see this jersey like live.
Oh, I completely agree. This jersey is beautiful. It's a kind of a throwback to the '98 World Cup. Adidas was not the kit sponsor that year, but it had like the same like Aztec like logo and design.
Mhm.
Funny enough, my wife too, when I showed her this jersey, she's like, "Oh, it's just like the one from last World Cup, which is like the red and white one you were referencing to that they didn't get to play
Mhm.
with." So that one was beautiful too, despite that they didn't play with it.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's why they
this
came
jersey.
back with a similar, kind of pattern.
Well, the story is that they leaked the original World Cup jersey, and there was really bad feedback and criticism about it. So they kind of went back to the drawing board, and then this is the final product, which I'm very happy that they did. I really like this jersey, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this jersey. If any family members or friends are listening and you haven't bought my Christmas present, I'm a medium. I don't want the player edition for this one. I want the fan edition, which we can talk about in a little bit. Um,
What a guy!
but I usually get a Mexico jersey once every 4 years, and it's usually the World Cup when I feel like it's the
That would
best
work
time
out,
to get
Mario.
it.
Once every 4 years, it just happens to be the World Cup.
This would be one every 8 actually, because I kind of knew the way the wind was going last World Cup, and I was like, you know what, I feel like this is not the year for it. So I actually skipped last World Cup and getting a Mexico jersey. So I'm overdue, and I think I'll definitely do this one. I think it's just a matter of if I'll do short sleeve or long sleeve.
Studio's probably punching the air right now, saying like, "What you think this year's going to be the year? Then you didn't think last time was the year?"
No, I'm just saying like we're hosting. You kind of just gotta do it. It's
No,
just
completely. There's
got
gonna be a lot
gotta
of jerseys around California for all
yeah,
the LA games and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that.
absolutely. And then for Northern Ireland, I completely agree with the pegs. It literally looks like the t-shirts or like the Halloween costumes like kids wear that make you look like muscular. I read that it's supposed to be uh symbolic of their architecture. So I can't really see the architecture design of it or element of it. So maybe there's something I'm not seeing like from the angle in this picture, but I don't fully see it. Uh, so yeah, it's a little. I think it's a little strange. It doesn't really deliver for me, but maybe there's just some additional context that I'm not seeing. For Italy, I like the color combo. I think it's really cool. It does remind me of the 2006 World Cup jersey. Uh, that was when they still had Puma, which I used to think kind of like Germany and Adidas. I used to think Puma was an Italian brand. I didn't even know it was German until much later on. I just assumed it was Italian because I always thought Puma and the Italy like national team went together. But I gotta say I've liked what Adidas has done with these jerseys since they became the kit sponsor. I like the Euros jerseys better than this one, but this one's still a pretty nice jersey. I think the Italians just have very nice like I like how they use like kind of like a shiny almost gold type of color in the numbers. It's just very very cool. And
Yeah,
it
to me,
looks
it looks
nice
like
on
it
the
got
field.
ran over by a car. It looks like tire treads all
Dude,
over it.
oh my gosh. You are right. I thought for me that pattern looks like olive leaves like from an olive tree.
One man's olive leaves is another man's tire tracks.
No, dude, you're completely right. It does. It looks like tire marks. They might as well just throw in the
Maybe because
Pirelli on there.
they're gonna run over all the competition. They're just
Yeah.
letting you know what you're gonna look like.
Yeah. No, you know what it is? When the cars rev the engine and the wheels are like spinning super quickly, they've been doing that for 2 World Cups since they haven't qualified, so they're just ready
Hey, they're
to
about
go.
to take off, baby.
Yeah, they're ready to take off. Uh, well, we'll move on to Peru, Qatar, and Scotland. Peru's got like your very traditional like red stripe along the uniform with the white backdrop. Uh, I'm not like super well informed of what like the specifics of their kits before, but this one has like the number like on the chest area. Then what Amilcar doesn't like, the Adidas logo in the center, and then the Federation logo in the bottom, kind of like right in between where the red stripe goes, which I think looks
Disclaimer
pretty
though,
cool.
Mario, I will say this one looks better. I think what stresses me out is when they're one on top of the other. So because the number's a little bit to the left of it, it looks a little bit different. So just my 2 cents there.
I was about to ask you that. For me, it actually kind of works too, and I don't know if it's maybe to like the Federation logo being like in on the red line. It kind of works a little bit better. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, when you look at Scotland, Scotland has it straight up and down. So like, I just think the straight up and down looks a little bit weird. I really like how they did the geometric. Usually their jerseys just like one like flat stripe all the way across is kind of usually what they have. So they have like the kind of geometric that moves a little bit more like edges and stuff, which I find really really cool for
Yeah,
the concept of their traditional jersey.
that's true because it tends to be like more on like the simple side
Mhm.
for Peru. Yeah, and then Qatar has a pretty interesting jersey. It's essentially like the opposite color scheme of Peru, where it's more like a wine red to stay with our, I guess, alcohol colors. And then they have like the white numbers in the kind of like in the center area, and then how Milcar likes it, they have the emblem on one side and then the kit sponsor on the other. And then they have like a design down the middle, which I had read what it is. For me, it kind of looks like the back of like a rattlesnake, kind of like gives a little bit Diamondbacks if you're familiar with like their baseball uniforms. I know it's not that. It mentioned something else. I can't remember what, but it's a pretty like standard design, but pretty nice, I would say.
We got to get our intern on that to
Yeah,
look that up.
yeah. Producer, please, if you can get us some notes on that. And then yeah, lastly we have Scotland, which it has like a design throughout the whole jersey, and then like a Mokar doesn't like the just straight line of kit sponsor, then the federation, and then the number. Where it does look pretty plain. I will agree in that this one just seems like they could have maybe moved things around a little bit more. Um,
Yeah, I think the design's nice though. I like the kind of the design that kind of fades in there a little bit. Looks like a little bit like triangles and diamonds and things of that sort. So I like that. There was a plain jersey that we had just seen right before this. So I think the plain jersey seemed like they're out. That's like not really happening anymore. The Peru one is a plain jersey, but it has, the line through it. But yeah, I really like the patterns. I really like when they do something with it. So that's my takeaway for Scotland.
yeah, I do like the blue color as well. It's a nice blue.
Mhm. All right. So you got some some really fun ones here. So Saudi Arabia, Spain, and Sweden. I'll start with the Spain one just because I'm a homer. So the Spain one, I truly is a spitting image of the 2006 World Cup jersey. I have it pulled up right here. It's identical. It has like the
Really?
pinstripes, like not pinstripes, but like the spaced out pinstripes going up and down like they did. Something that I found interesting here is that they kind of did a tribute to like the away jerseys from the 2010 no, yeah, 2010 World Cup where they play in
Yeah.
blue half the time. So they have like the blue sleeves, blue collar with the yellow and red Adidas stripes, which I think is kind of neat how they mix that up a little bit. In terms of the Saudi Arabia one, I really like this one a lot. I wish it was a little bit less loud, like maybe none of the blue part of the pattern, but they do have some really cool patterns on that one. And then the Sweden one, for how plain it is, I think it looks really clean. And I know I just finished in the last breath saying I don't like plain jerseys, but this one looks really clean. I like how they have the blue. They kind of like did half of a sleeve up to like the shoulder pads kind of in blue and the rest in yellow, which I think looks really, really, really clean. But the Spain one is obviously my favorite out of this bunch.
Yeah, following your order, the Spain one I didn't know exactly to like which tournaments, but it did remind me of like older Spain. For some reason, when I saw this jersey, and I just thought of David Villa wearing it, so it
Mhm.
reminds me of that era. And I really like the blue. I like the blue jersey that they wore when on the World Cup final in 2010. So I like how they incorporated the blue and like different color stripes. I also like that a lot. One of my favorite France jerseys from 2006, when Adidas was a sponsor, did that as well. So this jersey overall, I really like it because I feel like a lot of the Spain jerseys might look similar over the years, and this one kind of pops to me. It sticks out a little bit more.
Yeah, they're usually just
Uh,
red.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And the Saudi Arabia one is cool. I this is also one I feel like Saudi Arabia and Mexico. You could change the logo. Maybe not this year for Mexico because it's so like blatantly like Mexican Aztec, but in other tournaments you could switch like the Mexico and Saudi Arabia logo, and they're pretty similar in like the greens that they go with. This one's a little bit different than that. Uh, for some reason, the little dots like that are like bluish kind of give me like a video game vibe, like a retro video game
Morse
vibe to
code or
them.
something.
Yeah, something like that. But it does look pretty cool. I'm curious to see what color they wear for shorts because I think that's another thing. Right now we're just seeing the top of
True.
the jersey, so the color of the shorts also really brings the uniform, or if as my wife would say, the outfit together.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that looks like. And Sweden, this is a jersey that we'll probably maybe only see here because they've been struggling in qualification. Uh, no, no insult, no insult intended at all. But I was actually gonna say I do like the yellow too. Uh, from far away, the Sweden logo kind of looks like the Leeds logo, like just had a quick
Mm.
look. But it is a cool jersey. I do still remember Sweden beating Mexico 3-0 in 2018. And that was a nice jersey too. So I do like this one as well. All right, home stretch. So I think we get back to like a slightly more plain jersey. We have the UAE, and they have the traditional design where it's like the kit sponsor, the number in the center, and then the federation. And the jersey is basically all white except for the sleeves where there's like a bit of more design going on. And then there's like an outline at the end of each sleeve in red, or kind of like a dark red, maybe like a crimson type of color. Um, and yeah, that one's like I would say a little bit more on the plain side. And then the Ukraine one, um, it's very much like the Ukraine flag. It has like basically the whole jersey is those two colors. It's like the yellow with like very cool pattern, kind of like the same type of design that you see on like their flag as well. It seems to have that in the background, and the yellow and blue of this combination is one of my favorites. I would say I think it looks really cool. And then lastly, I can actually use a alcohol reference correctly. La Vino Tinto, Venezuela. They have a pretty cool jersey. I actually really like how the Adidas logo has some sort of like design in it, as well as the rest of like the jersey. Um, there's like kind of like a geometric like triangle design where at a quick glance, you look at it and it maybe looks like you're swishing a glass of wine. I'm just kidding, but but the jersey does look cool. I really like the Adidas logo in particular. It's got like a different type of like kind of like a gold color, and then the
Mhm.
sleeves have a little bit of a yellow, gold, blue color as well.
Yeah, to me, the Ukraine one is probably one of my favorites. Also yellow jersey, but I really really like the design. Looks like kind of diamonds or like kind of like diamond plated is what it looks like, that
Yeah,
design. And the yellow with the blue looks really clean. I also really like their federation logo, which I think is super cool. Venezuela also I think is kind of nice. Like you said, I think they have different shades of that like kind of wine color. Um, and the UAE, I think, is a little too simple. I would have loved for them to do a little bit more with the jersey versus just the white. But I couldn't tell you what their jerseys looked like before, so maybe this is an upgrade.
yeah, I'm with you on that one.
All right, we got the last one. All right, thanks for holding in there with us. Those people that are, driving and just imagining what these jerseys look like. Hopefully, we do a good job of explaining this to you.
And we'll link an
But
article too with all the different pictures that we referenced as well.
Yeah, good point. We'll do it. We'll put it in the show notes. All right. So this is the Wales one. This is probably the most unique one, I would say, because it has like the horizontal red and blue lines, kind of only in the middle of the jersey, and it has everything up straight up and down, like the Adidas logo, the emblem, and then the number. I don't know. This is might be one of my least favorites, along with like the Japan one. Just seems a little bit too plain. Wish they would have done something a little bit more design. Maybe like even some sleeve colors that were a little bit different. Maybe instead of like the different color lines, they could have done sleeves one color to complement a little bit. But yeah, not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, this one I do like it. I think the Wales Federation logo is beautiful. It's a kind of, I think it yeah, it's like a dragon. And the red is very beautiful too. And this jersey, I would say out of all the 22 is like the most like retro in a sense. It kind of feels like it gives me like prep school type, like almost like a preppy kind of look to it. Uh, the only thing I don't like in this case is the line of all the numbers. It almost looks like the number goes into the line design, where I feel like you might as well just press enter one more time and move the number down just a little bit, because it kind of looks a little like disorganized. And maybe that's just me being nitpicky. But other
Mhm.
than that, I actually do like the design. I think it's pretty clean.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into the our top picks. I think you kind of already know what my top picks are, but the number one jersey, I think, or we're starting number three. Okay,
Yes.
sorry. My third favorite one is the Ukraine one. I think I talked about, looking like kind of like body armor, looking like the little diamond plated. I think it just looks super clean, along with the blue. So I love that one. My number two is Colombia. Once again, yellow jersey, which is kind of interesting. And the yellow with the red, once again, like the subtle pattern of like the butterflies, or like the butterfly pattern, I think just looks so clean with this. And like their federation logo being a soccer ball in red, I think also kind of, chef's kiss. And then my number one favorite jersey, I would
Drum
say,
roll.
drum roll, is the
Woo!
yeah. I think it goes without saying. I made myself not pick Spain because I think I would put Spain first. So I just didn't want to put Spain, so just to take the bias out. But I think the Mexico jerseys, like I think historically, maybe not even historically, like the last couple of World Cups when they have this Aztec design has been my favorite jerseys. I think they look the most different, and if you know me, I like stuff that are a little bit more unique, a little bit more different. So that's my favorite.
Well, I'll jump into mine really quick, and don't you worry, Amilcar. I know you wouldn't do it, but I did one. I did you a solid, and I did put Spain as my number 3 jersey. I mentioned I really like the combination of this jersey. It really reminds me of like the 2008, 2010, 2012, basically super dominant World Cup, Spain and Euros tournaments that they played in. And I think it's beautiful. I really like the use of the yellow in the numbers, and I really like how it has more blue. I like how it's not as red as like it's been in like more recent iterations. So I think this is a beautiful jersey. Number 2, I guess maybe I'm feeling nostalgic. I don't know, but like this Germany one, I think it's really cool. It really, uh, I think I'm maybe buying into like them leaving Adidas after this, but it just seems like a very emblematic jersey of like Germany. So I think it's a good way to, I guess, part ways with Adidas. It's just a really cool, clean design.
Mhm.
And then last but definitely not least, I was not as humble as you, Amilcar. I had to go with Mexico. We're hosting the World Cup. It's just a beautiful jersey. I'm still like on the fence if I want it in long sleeve or short sleeve. For you, for Spain, you're usually like a short sleeve guy, right? For jerseys.
Yeah, I've always been short sleeve, except for goalie jerseys. I like the long sleeves for goalie jerseys.
Okay, that makes sense. I usually really like the long sleeve, uh, but I've learned depending on which version you have, if it's not like the player version, it gets a little hot depending on the material they use. Uh, but
I
yeah,
will say
with
for
this,
this jersey though, Mario, I'd be interested to see if they just keep the green, like the bare green, going the entire sleeve, or if they do more of a pattern. Because I think depending on what they do, it could look maybe not as exciting as this one does.
from what I've seen, they keep it just as it is. So for that reason, I'm leaning short sleeve for this
Yeah.
one. The one that I probably would do long sleeve, which we'll see what it even looks like, but it's a Portugal one, just because Ronaldo wears long sleeve. So if I'm wearing Portugal, I'm wearing long sleeve. Uh,
One and the same.
yeah, one and the same. So I think that one would be cool. So we went through a lot of different kit teams right now. Are there any other national teams that you have your eye out for? I know we have a lot of the big brands that we'll be covering later on, but are any in particular you're curious to see?
I going along the host nations, I'm really curious to see what the US jersey looks like. I think they could do something really fun and really cool with it, especially Nike being an American company. Maybe they'll, take it and run with it. Kind of like how all the University of
Oh
Oregon
yeah.
jerseys are always super cool and super like unique. I wonder if they'll do that with the US one.
Yeah, I liked when they've used like when they've spelled out Nike in the logo. I thought it's looked pretty
Mm.
cool recently. Um, I did see a leak where it seems like they're gonna use kind of like an off-white type of color for their jersey. So I'm excited to see what that looks like for the US. And then I'm really excited to see France that I always like their kits, and England. I've also liked the England jerseys in the past. So um, yeah, I'm excited to
Yeah,
check that one
Nike,
out.
balls in your court.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that about does it for us for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate being part of your day, talking soccer and fashion and hanging out. Everything you never thought you'd get from this podcast. Remember, you can find us on Instagram and X at _pitch report. And I will say, disclaimer: the last couple of times I've said at _the pitch report, but someone confirmed that we're not the pitch report, so it's at _pitch report. And I'm Amilcar.
I'm Mario, and then you will soon find this on YouTube. Perhaps even this video might be the first one. So more information to follow. And if we do, then we'll feature that information on the show notes of this episode.
Amazing. See you guys.
Bye.